Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our incredible keynote today. My name is Jessica Hay, and I use she, her pronouns. And I'm with the National Girls Collaborative, a nonprofit working to ensure gender equity in STEM and encourage girls to pursue STEM. I'm joined today by members of our Girls Advisory Board, who will be moderating a Q&A for our keynote today. So I'm joined by Elizabeth, who is passionate about computer science and advocating for girls in STEM. Her passions led her to start an initiative, Pursue Her Passion. She runs coding classes, publishing blog articles, and does interviews with amazing women in STEM. We're also joined by Christine, who is passionate about the interdisciplinary nature of computer science, specifically the connection between technology and art to inspire social change. Being one of the few girls in her advanced STEM classes, Christine hopes to show girls the wonders of STEM from a young age to bridge the gender gap. And then we're also joined by Jen, who loves working with all the different STEAM fields, but is most interested in studying computer science because she's thrilled by the infinite possibilities of coding. In the future, she hopes to blur the line between computer science and art and really engage in that interdisciplinary work. So we're so fortunate that these members of our board could join us today to moderate the Q&A later. I also am so excited to introduce our keynote for today. I may be fangirling a little bit because I really can't wait. Dr. Danielle Twom is an immunologist and an if-then ambassador committed to inspiring the next generation of innovators. Because we all know that if we support a woman in STEM, then she can change the world. So let's take a look at a short video about Danielle and her journey.
Hello, my name is Dr. Danielle Chum, and I'm very honored to share my story with you all today. Today, my talk is titled, A Journey is More Fun Without a Map. Let's dive in. I'm from Ghana, West Africa, which, fun fact, Ghana is one of the leading producers of chocolate in the world. As a child, I was very talkative and loved pestering folks with questions. But you see, I was very lucky to have a family that never told me to keep quiet and was patient with my asking questions. They truly nurtured my love for science, since science is basically asking questions and coming up with ways to solve these questions. By the time high school rolled around, I was convinced that my love for science clearly translated into a love for medicine, so I decided I wanted to become a medical doctor. To this end, in addition to taking the core classes, I took science-specific classes, namely biology, chemistry, and physics, and advanced math. This, I thought, would be the best foundation on which to build my dreams of becoming a medical doctor. I had a map and my destination set. Then I immigrated to the United States. Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York was apparently the next stop on my journey. I chose Vassar because it is a small liberal arts college and I could still explore other lessons in addition to taking the pre-med courses. Then I took one class with Professor Jody Schwartz, and that one class threw my entire roadmap in a tizzy. This class led me to discover the world of research, a stop that I had not at all considered on my roadmap to becoming a medical doctor. In Jody's lab, I studied the effect of climate change on Nemo's house, if you've seen Finding Nemo. Say it with me. Where did Nemo live? He lived in an anemone. And so at this point, I had to have a very honest conversation with myself. There was a saying by Lily Loeng that goes, when in doubt, choose change. So I chose change. I had always been interested in understanding cancer since I lost an uncle, unfortunately, when I was a child to a brain tumor. At Roswell Park Cancer Institute, I was part of an undergraduate summer experience program that exposed me to the world of cancer research. I went into the program with one question and left with many more. So, of course, I had to go back to Roswell Park, not as a summer apprentice, but as a graduate student. There, I studied the immune system and how to help it fight against cancer spreading in the body. It was in graduate school that I also experienced another direction-altering moment. I found that I loved communicating science to different audiences. So I challenged myself to give a TEDx Buffalo talk which to talk about how the immune system works without using any big scientific words. I titled the talk Guardians of Your Inner Galaxy because, well, the cyclone bug had bit me hard, so I decided to take part in an elevator pitch competition, which challenged me to explain my entire thesis work in 3 minutes or less without jargon. I had a great time with that challenge, I'll be very honest with you. And I ended up coming in second place, which came with a sweet check, which is great news for a broke graduate student, of course. But please note that at this point, I'm very, very far away from my original dream of becoming a medical doctor, and there is no map for any of the next steps in my life. I was excited and I was terrified. I realized as I was finishing graduate school that I wanted my next role to be one that combined my scientific communication skills with my ability to run science experiments. So I threw this long search query into Google. Just want to shout out Google at this point for being so useful, and discovered the role of a field application scientist, which literally combines scientific communication with the ability to run scientific experiments. My first job as a field application scientist involved separating cells based on how heavy they are using, if you can truly believe it, magnetic levitation. If you've seen Black Panther, you've heard the term. It was pretty freaking spectacular. At this point, I was given a bigger platform to be able to inspire and motivate young girls out there who were interested in STEM to pursue their unmapped journeys too. I was chosen to become a triple AS If Then ambassador, which is an initiative that is aimed at increasing visibility of women in STEM as role models for young girls. There are 125 ambassadors from all aspects of STEM willing to inspire young girls with their unmapped journeys and also mentor those who are interested in STEM. I'm currently a molecular science liaison for a cancer diagnosis company. Yes, I am back to my roots after taking a break with magnetic levitation, and this role allows me to use my scientific expertise, my science communication abilities, and my people skills that I've developed along the way to communicate and support doctors who run tests with the company that I work for. Right now, I have a platform that enables me to lift as I climb. And to this end, I was very, very proud to be part of the organizing team of Black in Cancer Week this past October, which was a virtual conference that was organized to strengthen networks for Black people involved in the fight against cancer, be it researchers, doctors, survivors, and advocates, and to also highlight Black excellence in these fields. 16 organizers came together to curate a movement that led to over 80 million Twitter impressions. 80 million eyes saw our hard work and our need to create a community. It was very powerful. This platform I have as a Black woman in science has also enabled me to share my story with many others through newspaper features. It has also enabled me to collaborate with some of my amazing If Then ambassadors to organize workshops at international conferences, and these women have become very good friends too. It has also been an extreme honor to be able to reach many classrooms by being featured on a poster that was sent to teachers. My mother absolutely loves this poster. And I'm also able to help make after school STEM activities more fun for girls by being involved in nonprofits in that space. And so, what I have learned from my journey without a map is that number one, you have to be like water. You have to be open to fill up any vessel you're poured into because that is the only way you will grow. The other thing that I have learned is that you have to be intentional about your network. I have intentionally surrounded myself with people who dream further for me and push me to be my best, and that has been my saving grace. Lastly, I have learned that I need to be confident and own every space I enter because I truly belong here as a Black woman, as a Black woman scientist. This is the space I occupy, and I occupy it proudly. And I hope this message resonates with you. And with that, if anybody asks you what a scientist looks like, you can show them this picture and tell them that this is what a scientist looks like. Thank you for your attention.
Wow, I love that video so much. Danielle, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's always weird seeing yourself on a
It
video
is.
like that
It is.
and like hearing your voice. It's odd.
I'm sitting here very tense, like, oh my God, is it gonna go okay? Is there gonna be glitches? But I'm so happy it went well. Thank you.
It's absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing our story with us because I think storytelling is such an important piece of being a role model and inspiring youth, especially girls, to pursue STEM.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you for letting me share my story. It was fun putting it together.
I mean, that was a very fun video. I sneak peek, I got to watch it before everyone else, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you again.
Fantastic. Glad to hear that.
I'm very excited to have a conversation with you today. I know you and I have talked a lot via email about how this could go today, but I think just a nice conversation with some questions. And I'm going to let all of our attendees know if you have a question for Danielle, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you can use the Q&A function and go ahead and submit questions that way as well. We have some that we're going to ask her. And then when we get towards the end, we can pop in some of those audience questions as well. How's that sound, everyone?
Sounds good.
Great. I can't wait to have this conversation. So I'm just going to pass it right over to our incredible students who are here. So I'm going to pass it to Elizabeth to kick us off with our first question.
Hi, your story is so inspiring and I'm happy to have you here. So the first question we have is, what motivates you when you wake up in the morning?
Oh, that's a good question. It's so I'm trying to decide which motivation to share. I think for me, in my current role that I do with regards to being exposed every day to people that have cancer and are trying to cure it, one of the things that keeps me going is the fact that there is technology that is getting better and better at detecting cancer earlier. And as a result, people are getting diagnosed earlier and their survival rate is increasing. So being able to be a part of that movement, even in a small way in my current role, keeps me going because I see cases from brain tumors to pancreatic tumors to kidney, and you see it runs the gamut. And sometimes it can be very hopeless, but then you see that technology is evolving. And the fun thing about technology is that even if it helps one section, you can take that technology and help other sections of life. So knowing that there's technology that's improving, that can not just only improve cancer diagnosis and treatment, but can also be used for something else is just fascinating to me. So that's actually, it's random, but that's what I think of every morning. It's a great question. Thank you.
I have another question for you. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be able to speak with you today.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you've made such great strides in your field, and I was wondering, what were some challenges that you faced along the way, and how have you overcome them to get to where you are today?
Mm-hmm. I am my biggest critic. It's amazing how not nice I am to myself when I talk to myself. There's a Pink song actually that says, "You're so mean when you talk to yourself." And I'm really, there are other external factors, but I can get in my own way. And so one thing that I have done recently is get a therapist actually to help me move my own self out of my way, because I can really stand in my way of achieving things. And I can talk, you know how they say you gas yourself up to do something? I can gas myself down and be like, no, you can't do this. You don't have the right skills. So yeah, that's something that I'm actively working on. External factors are, I mean, it's just interesting going through life as a Black woman. And one of the worst things that happened to me was somebody just put their hand in my afro because they thought it was okay. And one of the challenges that I have faced is being taken seriously as a scientist, as a Black woman who likes fashion, who looks the way I do, who does fun stuff the way I do, because apparently scientists are supposed to be serious and boring. I've never met a boring scientist. Maybe my friends are also like me. possible. And so that's something that I face every day, is being taken seriously. But it's like, I want you to look at my work. I don't want you to look at what I look like. Look at my work, see the excellence I'm bringing in there, and then let's have a conversation. So how do I overcome it? It comes back to the being nice to myself. I have to be nice to myself. I have to be nice to myself, honestly. Yeah. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I think I'm just, before we jump to the next question, yesterday we talked with some of your fellow ambassadors, Sam, Claire, and Katie all joined us. Yeah. And they also expressed a lot around like imposter syndrome and feeling like they don't belong, and how they overcame that. So I think it's very similar with what you were sharing.
I love all of those ladies you mentioned. I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
did an event with Claire. I think I'm doing an event with Sam on Saturday.
Yeah, they are wonderful. We had a great
They are.
conversation. Yeah. So attendees, if you missed that one, it's recorded so you can catch it. Sorry, Jen, go right ahead.
And definitely that, yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like imposter syndrome is such a big issue that really bars girls from entering STEM.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to take a moment to say, hi, Dr. Chum, it's amazing to meet you. And just to
Thank you.
reiterate, your journey has been really amazing. But going off of that, I was wondering actually if perhaps there were any road bumps along the way. So more specifically, have there ever been any mistakes you've made, and how did you learn how to deal with them?
Let's see. I don't know if mistakes is a word I would use. When I was talking in the video about me not having a map, honestly, the past couple of years have been a freestyle kind of moment. It has been, let's jump into this end of the pool. Oh, it's cold. Okay, let's try another end of the pool. Ah, it's warm. Okay, let's stay here for a little bit. I think for me, this is very odd and off, very far, but I wish I had gone abroad in undergrad. I wish I had gone abroad in undergrad. I was a biology major and a French minor. So I had the opportunity to go to France to go study French for a semester. But I was still so scared between deciding med school or grad school. So then I decided to stay and meet all my requirements instead of trying to figure it out when I got back. I was scared I wouldn't be able to get the timing right. And I let fear get in my way. So if I want to think about the biggest roadblock in my life, apart from myself, fear. Fear is a huge thing. And I've been trying very hard to let that go, because it takes an extra level of energy to overcome it. But if you can't jump over it, I just walk around it. That's what I found. Just walk around it and deal with it. So specifically, I can think of one of my greatest things is I wish I had gone abroad, because I feel like I wouldn't have lost my French then.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that a lot of people base their decisions around like their fear of what's going to happen. And our next question is, what's your take on women and minorities in your field?
That is a loaded question. I think if my field had more women and minorities, it would be stronger, and we would have a much more bigger impact than the impact we're making now. And there are so many invisible forces that are in place. Some of them are intentional. They're unintentional. They're unconscious, that don't allow women and minorities to flourish in this space. And that's something we all need to work on. The one thing I can think about is I was at a conference and someone asked, oh, we should be hiring women and minorities more. And I said, that's fine, but have you worked on your environment in the workplace to make sure that women and minorities are not going to come in and have to clean up the toxic waste for you? You're hiring them for their expertise. Let them come in and come and do the work you hired them for. Don't hire them because you want them to come and do the work for you that you should have done. So I think we need more women. We need more minorities in STEM, hands down. It would make it way more colorful. It would make it way more approachable, way more accessible to everybody who's interested in it. So I could go on and on, but I'm gonna stop. DM me. We can talk more.
Yeah, thank you for that really insightful response. So our next question is actually from the audience, from G Beza.
Okay.
So this audience member is asking if you could deliver any message to educators about girls and STEM, what would it be?
That's a fantastic question. I would say that you are in the unique position to make or break a student, because we place a unique trust in our educators that we don't even place in our parents, because you trust an educator to impart knowledge that is going to be useful to you. And that kind of trust makes it that whatever you say, we take it to heart. So if you have the opportunity to provide resources or provide access to resources to girls, please provide it. Please don't tell them they can't do something. If you ever feel like saying they can't do it, take a pause and say, let me give you the resources. Here is the information. You make that decision yourself. And whatever decision they make, please go ahead and support them, because the world is mean to girls. The world is not nice to girls, especially girls in STEM. We're considered people who are reaching far above what they're supposed to be, whatever the heck that is supposed to be. I resent that. Everything STEM is for everybody, and especially girls. So please be as supportive as possible, and please be as kind as possible, because they trust you. They trust you so much. So yeah, that's the message.
Wow, that was so inspirational. Thank you. This is not as related, but what are some of the recent emerging trends you've noticed in your industry? For example, either technological trends or the social trends, anything you've been noticing rising up recently?
Mm-hmm. What I've noticed recently is that a lot of people in the cancer diagnostic space, in the cancer treatment space, are recognizing that there is a diversity in response to drugs. And so it is not just enough to have clinical trials that target only one population. Your clinical trials have to be diverse, because the entire human population is diverse. So people are taking strides to change that, to work on the demographic of clinical trial participants. And you might say, oh, clinical trials is only for cancer drugs. No, anti-inflammatories that you take every day, your headache pills, your hand lotion, all these things, all these tests have to be done in diverse populations. And so it's sad that it's taken this long for them to realize it, but they've realized it. So that is something I'm very excited about. And another thing I've noticed is that, especially in the scientific communication space, that there are a lot more people of color that are talking about their experiences in STEM, and becoming, they're they're being what other kids are seeing. And if you can't see it, you can't be it. So it's something that has given me a lot of happiness. When I look at all the Black in weeks that happened on Twitter last year, that stuff was fantastic. I learned so much about so many Black people in different spaces. So there is progress, and it really does give hope, especially during this time where everything just seems very gray and dull. So yeah. I hope those I hope I didn't ramble too much.
Thank you for your response. And so our next question is, what do you think are the top 3 skills that are needed as a professional, either in your field or as STEM as a whole?
Mm. And okay, yeah, no, I think it's all of them. Curiosity. You cannot stop being curious. I think the minute you stop being curious, you stop evolving. And when you stop evolving, nature will select you out. that does it. It really is. That's the law of nature. So you have to stay curious even when you don't feel like it. But it's good to take a break. That's the second trait I think any professional needs, is that you need to be able to know where your boundaries are, where your body starts to fall apart, and then take a step back before you get there. Because I recently read a quote that said, if you don't take a day off, if you don't decide to take a day off, your body will decide what day it takes off for you. And then the third thing is empathy, just pure empathy across the board. It doesn't matter what profession you're in, because once you're empathetic, you're able to stand back whenever you start feeling attacked and then assess a situation better. And then you also are very cognizant of what you say to others and how it might be received. So it doesn't matter what field you're in, curiosity, taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you can be more empathetic. So it's all together. So that's what I think. I think that's, yeah.
Thank you so much for that response. So next, I was thinking about how for many girls, just thinking about the path to a PhD might seem very intimidating. So I was wondering, what are 3 tips that you can give students that they can engage in now to prepare for a path to a career in your field?
Mhm. If you want to do a PhD, you need to talk to a PhD scientist. You can't, there is no other way to see what that life is like unless you talk to someone who's been in that position. So I would say reach out to people who have done a PhD in the field you're interested in. The second thing is that you should take part in as many internships as possible, because what I did in grad school, let me take that back. I didn't do it. My undergrad advisor did it. Once I told her I was interested in research and that I was going to be a marine biologist because I love studying Nemo's house, she told me, "Skirt, you mean you like science research in my lab? How about you go do research somewhere else and then see if you like research as a global thing? Because you're not, whatever lab you're interested in, you're not going to be there forever. You're going to have to move. So if you can take part in as many summer immersion programs as possible, please do it. Or even during the semester, if you can go work in a lab as a lab tech, just to see what the lab environment is like, totally do it. And then the last tip is that don't listen to detractors, because there are people who will bring you down, who will say, no, I don't think you should do it. No, 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 no. They don't know you. They might know of you, but they don't know you. So please don't listen to them and just focus on your dream and just go for the stars. Why not?
This is pretty related to your remark about how you should seek advice from women who already have PhDs, but who is your inspiration? Have there been any women along your journey that have helped keep you going?
Mhm. Apart from my undergrad advisor, Jody Schwartz, I tell her this all the time, that she is responsible for everything that happens in my life academically. In grad school, I actually called her when I was having a really bad 3 months of no good data. And I called her, and my first words on the phone were, "This is all your fault." And I was crying. She was like, "Wait, what happened?" And I'm like, "My experiments are not working." But apart from Jody, one of my biggest inspirations is actually my grandmother. Not a STEM person at all. I think the highest level of education she reached was 5th grade. But what she did was she made sure that all her children finished high school. And then my mother eventually went to college and then went and got her law degree as a mature student. And just that line of strength, knowing I come from that line of strength, that definitely keeps me going. My grandmother ran a very successful restaurant in addition to taking care of us so that my mom could go to school. And it really pains me that she can't see what I've become. I know that if she had been here during my graduation, she would have probably just taken my degree and left with it, and I would have given it to her, because she is one of the reasons why I'm here. So yeah, she is one of my greatest mentors.
That's so sweet. And so our next
Thanks.
question, we touched on this a little bit, but what is the importance of role models and mentors? How do you find them, and who are your role models or mentors?
Mhm. Um, when I think about role models give you something to aspire to. They are something to aspire to. They are not what you are completely aspiring to, because what you're going to be is to be better than what they are. A good mentor wants you always to be better. And when I said in the video that you need to surround yourself with people who dream further for you, that's what a good mentor is. They should be able to look at you and see 10, 20 years into your future, where they think you're going to be, and then push you towards it. So to me, a mentor is someone who is dreaming for you even when you are asleep. And a mentor can come in many forms. It can be your friends, it can be your coworkers, it can be another scientist, it can be anybody. But as long as the person is pouring positivity and support into your life, that person is your mentor. Um, I was talking about, my grandmother, Professor Jody Schwartz at Vassar College, and you know, I don't know if you know Katherine Johnson. She was the human computer at NASA, and she helped put a man in orbit. And when you watch the movie Hidden Figures and you see the kind of treatment she underwent, and yet she still did not let her excellence fall on the wayside, that kind of strength, that I wish I even had a third of that. So it's important to have role models to cap it all together. It's important to have role models because it gives you a sort of roadmap, but you're going to make your own roadmap. It gives you an idea of what kind of roadblocks you're going to hit, but yours will be unique. But it gives you something to aspire beyond. So you know where the limit is, and then you go past the limit. That's what a role model is to you. Does that answer all the questions?
Yeah, that's truly amazing. We actually have another question
Mm.
from one of our attendees, from Fred. Fred asks, can you speak to your success with social media as a tool for outreach to pursue STEM careers?
Oh, social media. I don't I I I don't know why people follow me on social media. Because I have fun on my social media. I don't put anything that I wouldn't want my mother to see. So but it has become a way for people to see what a scientist looks like, I guess, and what a Black woman scientist looks like. And that unintentional effect is it's pretty great because I'm this is the space I occupy. This is me. I don't prevaricate. I'm not anything else. I want you to see all aspects of my life. I want you to see that, yes, I'm a scientist, but I'm also a Black woman who loves K-pop and likes dancing. It's cool. So yeah, I think, but social media is a very, very strong tool that can be misused. And I try not to do that. I try to be as authentic as possible. Yeah, I'm gonna put the cute pictures, but sometimes I will put an ugly picture because that's real life. You don't always wake up with a face put together. No one does that. But I think social media has been a great way for a lot of people to mobilize, to learn new things, and also to make new friends. And if that comes with being seen uh, as somebody who inspires others, that's great. But I just have fun on there. Does that answer the question, Fred? Oh yeah, there's a K-pop fan in here. Sweet. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, so you have given us so many inspirational words of advice, but I was actually wondering the other way around. Are there any quotes or mantras that you live by and have stuck by you during tough times that you could maybe share with us?
Oh man. Yes. I'm gonna try and code it as precise as possible. It said, "You are the only person you're guaranteed to be with for the rest of your life. Are you really not going to be on your own side?" that I saw it probably like a month or two ago, and it replaced one of my favorite quotes, that you have to walk around obstacles when they come your way. But yeah, that really, I had to I think I sat down on my bed for like 5 minutes, just having that sink into me. But yeah, you are the only person you're guaranteed to be with for the rest of your life. Are you not going to be on your own side? Yeah.
That's a very true quote. So our next question is from the audience as well. And it's, what is your favorite thing about being a scientist?
Excitement. I have dull moments. Yes, there are moments of tedium, but to me, science makes the world even more colorful. It helps explain why leaves are green, why the sky is blue, why chameleons change colors. I think once you understand it, the beauty of it hits you even harder, and it just makes life even more colorful. So yeah, my favorite part of being a scientist is because I see the world even more colorfully because I understand why. Is that weird?
No, not weird at all.
Yay, sweet. Elizabeth is like, oh my gosh. Fair. That's a fair reaction.
We actually have another question from our Q&A, which is, what has been your most memorable success?
My most memorable success. It's actually quite personal. When I was in grad school, I had a morning routine. And I realized that if I had a routine, it trickled into my day. So then if I stuck with the morning routine, my whole day would be ordered. If I didn't, my whole day would be a wash. So when this pandemic started, I was very nervous like everybody else, and I let a lot of things slip down the road. But I recently realized that I'm 3 months into having a morning routine, and I'm very proud of myself because my brain is all over the place, worried about the pandemic, worried about vaccines, worried about all of that. But yeah, that's one of my personal things. But the other thing that I'm very, very happy that I did was I finished my PhD, because I had moments where I wanted to quit. I had a lot of moments where I called my parents. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is also your fault. All because you're immigrants and you like having your daughter have a doctor next to their name. But I'm happy I finished my PhD because the destination made the journey worth it. Yeah.
I had another quick question to follow that.
Nice.
So, what do you think are some misconceptions or things that people don't often know about your field, but you wish people knew, like sort of a clarifying thing of a common misconception?
When people tell me they found the cure for cancer, but they're hiding it.
What? Why?
Why would they hide it? Like, why wouldn't we want to help so many families have their family members longer? Oh, they're hiding it. I'm like, okay, so that's why I'm wasting my 20s doing a PhD for something that already exists. But no, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, please, they haven't found the cure for cancer and they're not hiding it. Thank you. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It diminishes what people are going through. It diminishes how much people spend on treatments. It diminishes so much, especially for people who are already going through cancer, which is a very terrifying diagnosis across the board. So please stop telling me that. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make anybody happy. That's a good question.
So that's the end of like are kind of prepared questions that we had for you, and we've been taking them from the audience as well. So I want to make sure that the audience knows, please feel free to keep adding your questions either in the chat box or in the Q&A feature on the Zoom. And I actually just wanted to ask you, I know you talked a little bit about this earlier with one of our other questions around advice for educators, but maybe specifically more because this audience is after school professionals.
Yeah.
So if you have any kind of tips or ideas for after school program staff to encourage younger girls in STEM.
One thing I would say, and you alluded to it earlier, was the impact of storytelling. And I see that some people make science look very black and white, but how can it be black and white? Have you ever looked at a rose garden with multiple rose flowers? Like, there's so many colors. So science is very colorful. So please bring it to life. And it does takes an extra step. But there's so many relatable things that you can take from theory and make it more relatable to something that's going on in life. My chemistry professor in high school, she used to use cooking because we were in boarding school, we were hungry. And so the best way she would explain chemistry to us was using cooking analogies. And we loved experimenting. So that helped us remember that this reaction goes after this reaction after this reaction, because when you're cooking stew, because you do it like that. So I would say that if you can, as best as you can, please bring it to life, because when students can relate what's happening on a piece of paper to what's happening in their life, that's when they can understand it. And then if they can say it back to you, even better. So yeah, please bring science to life, because science is life. I mean, life is science, science is life, science is life for me. Life is science. So please bring it to life as much as possible. Yeah.
I love that. I don't know if you've seen through the chat as you've been as you've been answering our questions and stuff, but man, you are getting a lot of love in the chat from our attendees. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. So make sure before you close it out, you take a quick peek, because it's been really great to see everyone's reactions.
Thank you so much.
I do want to open it up for Elizabeth, Jen, and Christine. And if you have any other additional questions that you want to ask Danielle before we wrap up our time.
Yeah, I had another question regarding inspiring young girls in STEM. So in some communities, we see that in a lot of STEM classes, girls will find that they're the only ones in the class, or there's only a small percentage of other students who can relate with them. And so I was wondering, what would be your advice for girls who are looking to find community but are having difficulty in doing so?
That is a fantastic question. You will find that as a woman in STEM, you will most likely always be the only one in a room. But having a community is very necessary to maintaining your mental health. You might think you're going to go at it alone, but there's a proverb that says, if we do it together, we go further, right? So if you want to find a community, what I have found, and this I hope I don't get in trouble with your parents, social media. Social media has been a great way to connect with people that I never knew existed. And when I talked about the Black and Cancer movement, when I did grad school, there were 2 other Black students in the entire grad program of 5 different programs. In the entire building, there were 3 Black students, including me. And it gets isolating. It gets very isolating. It gets very tiring. And so I didn't know that there were so many other Black people doing cancer research until Black and Cancer happened. And using that hashtag, I found, I don't know how many people there are in the Slack channel right now, but there are so many people in the Slack channel doing so many cool things. And it's good to know that there are other people who exist, and I can share my experiences with them. So I can say social media, but also you can Google and see if there are any after school STEM programs around you. Who knows who you might find, who knows what community you might build, because sometimes you might not find one. And they say if you don't have a seat at the table, I say build your own table. So even if you don't find a community, you could build your own community and then create it the way that will edify you and edify other people coming to join. So I hope that helps.
Thank you for that. I have one question.
Yes.
What does your day-to-day life look like in your career field?
Oh, that's a great question. So it depends. Because it's a pandemic, right now everything's virtual. And so I sit behind a computer every day. And I'm meeting people, I'm meeting doctors and telling them about the product that my company has. I am on the phone with them, explaining results to them and making sure that I don't say anything I'm not supposed to say. I work with my sales team a lot to, coordinate meetings, coordinate what we're going to say, coordinate who's going to come in at what point in the presentation. So that's where, the empathy and the having a good relationship with people comes in. You have to, work with different teams. Or I'm on the phone with my boss complaining about something. So my day-to-day is on the computer, on the phone, take a sip of water on the computer, on the phone, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question relating to pursuing STEM during, these current uncertain circumstances
Hmm.
where learning primarily takes place all online, everything is digital. Do you
Yeah.
have any advice for, maybe what resources girls can
Hmm.
go to or anything like that, so that even though they might not have some in-person instruction with labs and things like that, they'll be able to have more experience to learn about some STEM activities?
Mm-hmm. Um, uh, let's see. The one person I can think of is, her name is Dr. Tay. I think her YouTube channel is Hey Dr. Tay. I think that's what her channel is. And she does scientific experiments in her kitchen just to show you that you can do science anywhere. So it's always good to just see that you can bring science into any room in your house. There is this is a shameless plug, but I took part in a TV show called CBS's Mission Unstoppable, and they have episodes on YouTube where they follow women in different STEM fields showing what they do. So I think my friend Sydney, she's an engineer at Boeing. Um, then I think they did one with me when I used to work in magnetic levitation. I think Jessica Adler, she's a wildlife photographer, but a marine photographer. So she takes pictures underwater. So there's like all these ways for you to be able to see that there is an application of the theory you're learning right now way into the future. So that gives you something to see that it's not all abstract that, you're doing. So that's what I can think of. I just literally just sent you to YouTube, and I'm sorry to your parents.
Well, if you don't want to go onto YouTube to find those, they're actually also all on the If Then collection.
This is true.
So you can also find them there. Yeah.
Yes, you can find them there too. So don't go to YouTube and get lost in the YouTube wormhole.
It's such an easy one to get lost in.
Listen, the BBC Earth YouTube channel, fantastic content. Just fantastic content over there. I'm not saying you should go, but you might get lost in a good wormhole where you end up learning about whale sharks and you end up learning about weird parrots and all of that. It's a great channel.
Wow, I am so blown away at this conversation today. I wish that we could just keep talking kind of like all day. It would be great. I do want to remind folks that joined us today that this is recorded, so you can share it with your colleagues that weren't able to make it because of, conflicts and such. But yeah, what an amazing conversation. I'm super inspired. And I'm sure everyone who's been here with us is just as inspired as I am. I have to say I really liked what you talked about with staying curious and taking a break, and really practicing empathy. because I think that that was something that like resonated with me a lot. I tend to not say no. So that means I don't take breaks and I don't take care of myself. I am a social worker by trade. So like, that's not great. I know better. So it was really nice hearing that coming from you as well. And that message, I think it's so important. And I saw folks in the chat were really excited about that as well. I also really loved the fear and not letting your fear stop you. And so and the idea that, well, if you can't jump over it, just walk around it. You know, you just got to move past it somehow, whether it's over, around, under, whatever it is. So that really kind of resonated with me as well. And then I loved the other idea that really got me was around community, and the idea that what you shared about if you don't have a seat at the table, just build your own table, build your own community, and find those people that can support you in your path and career and just life in general. So those were things that just kind of like, I guess, stood out to me, and were some tips and things that I was taking away. There's so many more, so I wouldn't even know where to start if somebody asked me all of the things I just learned, because wow. So I just want to also say thank you so much to Elizabeth, Christine, and Jen for moderating like pros. There is no way I could have done as well as you all did. So thank you so much. You're incredible. And, you know, as much as we were talking about what an inspiration Danielle is, y'all are an inspiration as well, and seeing how incredible you are. And I can't wait to keep in touch with all three of you. I hope you don't mind. And seeing where all you go and the incredible things that you do in your paths, because it's going to be big. I just know it. And then Danielle, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do as a role model for girls everywhere. And thank you so much for the work that you do every day. It's really been incredible and an inspiration. I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us as well. And for the incredible, insightful questions. Yeah, so I know please do check the chat, because there is some real nice things coming in for you. So lots of praise and thanks and gratitude. Elizabeth, Christine, Jen, if you have any final words to say, please feel free.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who came today. And I want to thank Jessica for hosting this. I want to thank Dr. Trump for really inspiring me so much. This was such a great webinar to be a part of, and I'm really grateful to have been a part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I just want to thank Christine, Jenny, and Elizabeth. That was fantastic. Your questions were amazing, and they weren't regular questions, which is always a good thing to happen. So thank you so much, and thank you, Jessica, and thank you to everybody who invited me to allow me to be part of this. This was great. I had fun.
And if you want to see more about the amazing work that the If Then ambassadors are doing, please do check it out, because if you thought this was great, just wait, there's even more. So I put a link in the chat at the beginning, but ifthencollection.org, and you can find all those Mission Unstoppable videos, and you can find other great content and incredible role models that can inspire the young girls in your program. So thank you all for joining us. Again, thank you to our panelists, and have a really great rest of your conference.